Hi everyone, welcome back to myrsilife.com. I'm your host Mitch, and this is video 2 of our Keys to RSI Recovery video series. Video 2 is called Work on Your Mindset. Okay, so let's get into it. Once again, just like in video 1, we're going to break this kind of into 3 sections. I don't know if we'll do that for every video of this series, but at least for 1 and 2, it looks like that's the way it's going to be. So the first section of the 3 in the mindset section of the Keys to RSI Recovery is going to be called Identify the Risks in Your Lifestyle and Personality. Being a perfectionist, being a workaholic, saying yes when you should be saying no, being a constant couch potato in your free time, being a pushover, being a know-it-all, seeking the approval of others. You kind of get the idea by now. Do any of these behaviors sound like you? If you have computer-related RSI, then I'm willing to bet that at least 1 or 2 of those traits affects your daily choices, your personality, and your behaviors. I'm also willing to bet that you can name some other personality traits unique to you, which have negatively impacted you and perhaps even exacerbate your RSI symptoms or your exposure to RSI. Before my injury, I was basically all of those things. I loved having tons of responsibility at work. I took on crazy deadlines. I would brag with my coworkers about how many hours we all put in the night before. And this all came from my, at the time, unconscious desire to impress others and to live up to their expectations as I perceived them. After work, I often went to happy hour. I ordered a lot of takeout. I played video games in my free time. I sat on my ass a lot and just watched TV. I kind of exercised, but not really. Didn't really do it in a dedicated, efficient way. So taking steps to identify and change those behaviors has had enormous benefits for my recovery from RSI. It's definitely not been easy. Realizing your unconscious and naive behaviors and remembering those moments in your life when you acted on your insecurities and caused your own hurt or embarrassment, those can be especially damaging for the ego and really hard to confront. But it's really important to remember that those memories can be turned into valuable lessons, especially if you're able to put aside your ego and reflect on them objectively, like kind of how we talked about in the last video where we let go of the past. Once you let go of those emotions about the past, you can look at those events objectively and take the positive lessons from them. And as you develop the practice of mindfulness, again, like we talked about in the last video, you begin to consciously catch yourself in moments of hesitation, in moments of security, in moments, for example, when your boss wants you to do something ridiculous that you know is going to hurt your hands. You can recognize that this is happening, you recognize the feelings that are going on, and choose to act in a new way. And it might not be comfortable. But eventually you can, through that, you can find ways to be more effective. And it'll be scary, you'll make mistakes, it'll be out of your comfort zone, but with time and practice, those behavioral risks that are exposing you to RSI can be reduced through your own willpower. And that will not only aid in recovery from RSI, but will also improve your self-awareness and your interpersonal skills. Part 2, video 2. Learn to rely on others. And if you have computer-related RSI, I imagine you're like me in that you're very comfortable having a lot of control over your work, having a lot of control over your day-to-day activities. You may have a habit of taking on a lot of responsibility, like I talked about in the last section, or negative experiences of others screwing things up on your project or working outside of your work's best interest or whatever. This applies to students, of course, as well. And whatever the cause, it can be uncomfortable for people to trust others. And kind of by nature, it is uncomfortable. And unfortunately for those people who, us who have RSI, they might not be conscious of this mental habit. Their habit of mistrust can put them at risk of exacerbating computer-related RSI. Put another way, for one reason or another, maybe it's because of shyness and not necessarily because of an inherent mistrust, but these people have difficulty asking for help and communicating their needs, which results in a large, crazy workload, which accelerates the cycle of risk and injury. So in the workplace, asking your boss for things you need, such as computer input tools like Dragon Dictation, or asking to hire an assistant, or asking for a different workload. Directly communicating your needs to colleagues, delegating to other people like contractors or teammates or junior employees. All of these things can result in really, really powerful results. And before my injury, I took on a lot of responsibility. After my injury, I had to come up with creative ways to get work done despite the condition. And so, really the answer is teamwork, and it is awesome. You have less burden on your shoulders. You can get time to rest thanks to this teamwork dynamic. You can get time back to learn and practice your alternative input tools like Dragon and the Foot Mouse, and hopefully start healing your body. Now, outside of work, you can learn to rely on others by getting regular massages, getting manicures. You can hire someone to help with data entry or surfing the net, or ask a family member to help out with financial planning on a computer, online shopping, any kind of computer device task. Like someone will say, hey, can you send an email to so-and-so? Just say no. Maybe you can. Believe it or not, I have found that most people are kind, empathetic, and willing to help you when you ask them politely and communicate your needs specifically. So it felt kind of, pretty out of my comfort zone when I first started trying to make this a habit and communicating directly, especially in the workplace. But learning to ask for help has been a key component in accelerating my RSI recovery. So third section of our second video of the mindset video is to practice rigorous self-care for strengthening and pain relief. So this one takes time to implement completely, but all of these small steps can have a huge impact on your recovery over time. What I mean by rigorous self-care is by doing things for yourself regularly, which improves both your health and mental condition. So 3 of these activities, now there's tons of activities that improve your health and mental condition, but 3 of these activities are especially important. They're things that we all talk about, but we aspire to them, but we sometimes have trouble being consistent with them. They deserve their own name. I'm trying to think of like a good name, the big 3 or, something like that, but they don't sound as epic. I need to come up with a better name. So what are they? They are, number 1, exercise. Number 2, eating a balanced diet. And number 3, getting enough sleep. Pretty much duh, right? And being consistent with these habits is not easy for most people. It almost always involves changes in other aspects of your life in order to make these things start happening for you. For example, you might have to leave work on time each day in order for you to have time in the evening to cook a healthy meal. You might have to sacrifice evening TV or internet surfing time in order to go to the gym or get to sleep on time. And the examples are going to be different for everyone. But you will likely need to make some sacrifices in order to make these habits involved in your life. So outside of those 3, there are some less frequent ways to invest in your self-care, like getting massages, sitting in a sauna or a hot tub, getting manicures, taking a 20 to 30 minute nap during the day, which I love doing. I started doing that over the last year, and it's been a pretty great habit to fall into. Take frequent breaks away from the computer. So like you could take a break and take a nap, take a break and take a walk, take a break and cook a meal. Take time to meditate, like I talked about in the last video, or recite positive affirmations. Just find that on the internet if you don't know what positive affirmations are. Again, like we talked about in the last video, take a vacation or long weekend off for rigorous self-care. And if you're receiving medical care through workers' comp, of course, stick to the guidelines of your care providers and prioritize any kind of prescribed home exercises or care routines that they give you. Self-care does not mean sitting on the couch, does not mean ordering takeout and binging TV all evening because you've contrived some way to convince yourself you deserve it. There are occasions where you definitely need to treat yourself in moderation. But care is a verb implying action, and self-care is physical work, and it is an act of sacrifice. Okay, that's gonna wrap up video 2, work on your mindset. And again, our 3 sections were identify the risks in your lifestyle and personality, learn to rely on others, and practice rigorous self-care for strengthening and pain relief. So in today's action plan, we're gonna take steps to do those 3 things. So, step 1, in your journal, write down on a scale of 1 to 10 the degree to which you possess the following traits: being a workaholic, being a perfectionist, being addicted to your phone, being addicted to TV or video games, being concerned about the perceptions of others. And for each of these traits, also write a sentence and describe how or whether they exacerbate your exposure to RSI symptoms. Number 2, action plan. In your journal, brainstorm some strategies for getting work done without using your hands at the computer. Consider delegating and teamwork, mastering alternative computer input tools, moving into a new role, or changing your current duties. Try to be creative. If you're in a position where you absolutely can't get work done without your hands, then brainstorm some alternative careers or career pivots, which could interest you. We'll talk about those a little bit more on this channel as well. Action plan item number 3. Create a 15 to 30 minute daily stretching and strengthening routine. Ask your doctor, your therapist, or your personal trainer to help you make a list of hand stretches and exercises for daily fascia release, flexibility, and strengthening. Make time to do this routine every single day. This is, again, this action plan is literally the things that I did during my early recovery journey. So if you need special equipment like a foam roller, find out whether your workers' comp benefits will include it, and basically take full advantage of the resources available to you, and stick to this 15 to 30 minute daily strengthening and stretching routine. Number 4, start working out 2 to 3 times per week if you do not do so already. So again, here are some suggestions. You could hire a personal trainer. You could re-engage or pick up a new athletic hobby like yoga, volleyball, lifting weights, swimming, hiking, dancing. Many, many, many options hopefully for you. Work out 2 to 3 times per week. Then item number 5, spend at least 30 minutes per day practicing using your alternative computer input tools like Dragon Dictation, Office Dictation, 3D Rudder Foot Mouse, Stylus Mouse, many other options. And that's about it. Thanks so much everyone for watching.